This is a complicated subject, and there's a decision tree of things that need to be evaluated by a merchant or service provider that's trying to decide whether or not they need to attempt to do this in-house, try to go the free route or the very low-cost route, or they need to outsource this. And there's a decision tree, I imagine, that they need to walk through of how to land at the right spot. And I'm going to propose a few of these decision points, and you tell me if I'm off base, if some of these need to be weighted more heavily than others. So things like number of payment pages, is that the primary consideration? Or is it number of scripts running? Is it more broadly just the complexity of the payment architecture? Is it the skill set of the staff on board that they have available at their discretion to manage this? Or is it, the unfavorable, nasty interpretation of a QSA like me that's going to make them do something that they don't want to do? What are the key decision things that they need to be evaluating when they're trying to figure out what the solution is to this, to 643 and 1161?
Yeah, I would add the time that they have to implement this as well. And the more we get closer to the deadline, the more that should be weighing on the decision. I mean, like if you started a year ago, then yeah, like implementing something on your own might be a good option, depending on if you have the skills, the people, and whether you want to do it as well, whether that's on your core business or something that you see value in implementing yourself. But as we get closer, I think it narrows down your chance to consider all the other things that you mentioned that are, I agree with them. I think they are spot on. So other than the time that you have to implement this, I would consider the complexity. And I'm sure that John will agree with this because I've seen him or heard him talk about this before. If you have a really simple environment, like very few scripts, maybe just one payment page or two, that I think you might be able to pull off something like CSP, because like few scripts that you might be in control if those scripts change or when they change.
Right.
But if those scripts are third-party hosted, then that's when you start seeing the trouble coming in. But I will pass the ball to John. Yeah.
Yeah, John, you've been on the other side of the table on this issue as well. I believe you sort of had these responsibilities for EasyJet, I want to say.
Yeah.
Are these ringing true? Would these have been the decision points, or where would you take this?
I'm going to give you different decision points, actually, Adam. I'm going to give the first decision point is how much first-party script do we have on our website, i.e. scripts that we own, that comes from our domain, that we're in control of, that's in our change control flow. And how much third-party script do we have on our website that's not in our change control flow and will randomly change when people decide to change their third-party scripts without asking us? And then the second thing I would work on is how many people can add scripts to my website? Is it just like one person in development? Is there a formal development flow? Or is there a tag manager in there, which means people in marketing and digital can add scripts to the website? So my advice to anyone doing this, and I consult to a lot of companies about how to do this type of thing, is first of all is to find out the map of the land. Who can add scripts to the website? Is there a change control process? How much first party, how much third party? And then the answer to your question is, if there's lots of third party script and lots of people can add it, it's going to be really hard to put change control in there. And yes, I don't have my hammer here, but yes, I'm a hammer vendor. You need to buy a hammer, right? Right. If you've got just first party scripts, you've got a good CI/CD pipeline that builds your website automatically, so you can generate a hash and you can change the CSP on the fly, right? You don't need a hammer. You need to just implement good change control and do that. As soon as you start adding third party scripts, the need for a tool increases. And the need for and the more change there is, the need for a tool that does behavioral change monitoring, so you don't end up being a compliance zombie, just approving. Like somebody had some, because a script will change if somebody adds a comment to it. A script will change if somebody says, "Oh, I refactored that function to make it more effective." Yeah. So those are the criteria I look for. First and third party. How many people can add scripts to the page?